Okay, we're going to start with the regular present tense verbs, the AR, ER, and IR endings. So make sure you're at your note sheet at the top. Okay, the regular AR verb endings, you need to write them on your chart as we go along. See if you can get them before I do. The yo form is O, to form is as, LA usted is a, nosotros amos, vosotros ais, and ellos y ustedes an. You might need to pause so you can finish writing them. We're going to move on to ER verb endings. Okay, for the ER verb endings, we have O, es, e, hemos, es, and en. Pause now if you need to. And finally, we have the IR verb endings. Very similar to the ER. We have O, es, e. The nosotros and the vosotros form is where it changes a little bit. We have imos, is, and then back to the regular ER ones, en. Pause now so you can finish writing them. Okay, I want to talk briefly about how to actually use these verbs. So when you have a verb like cantar, we see the ending here is an AR, which means that we're going to use the AR verb endings. In order to start conjugating, we need to take the infinitive verb, cantar, drop the AR, which leaves us with our stem. So our stem is cant. From here, all we have to do is add the correct endings. So the yo form would be canto, the to form, cantas, LAO usted canta. Okay, here we have a little bit of practice. You don't have this on your sheet, so just try to do this before I can, maybe on a separate sheet if you want to write them down, or if you can just do them in your head, that also works. So number one, we have bailar, the yo form. So remember, look at the ending of the verb, drop the ending to get your stem, and then add your correct ending. I'm going to put the answer up. You should have had bailo. Okay, número dos, comer, el. Es come. And then número tres, vivir, nosotros. Vivimos. Okay, we're going to move on to irregular yo form verbs. Okay, these verbs have just irregulars in the yo form, which means they're conjugated normally, just like you would any other ER, AR, IR verbs. But in the yo form, they're a little bit strange. Okay, so make sure you write them down, and then we'll do a little bit of practice so you can see. Ver, the yo form is veo. Hacer, hago. Saber, sé. Salir, salgo. And poner, pongo. Pause it so you can write them down. Okay, so you can see in an example of what this actually looks like, the verb saber in the yo form, because the yo form is irregular, we have sé. So you would say yo sé. Okay, however, the rest of the conjugations are going to follow our regular rules. So it would be tú sabes, él sabe, nosotros sabemos, vosotros sabéis, and ellos saben. The tricky thing about these verbs is that they are irregular, so there really isn't much more you can do other than memorize the irregular yo forms. Okay, so make sure that you study your chart. Let's do an example one now. How would you conjugate the verb hacer? Take about 30 seconds, pause the video, see if you can scribble it down on another sheet of paper, or if you just want to do it in your head, that's fine too. I'm going to put the answers up right now though. Okay, here they are. Is this what you had? Your form should be ago, and the rest of them just follow the regular ER verb endings. There are a lot of irregular verbs, but here are 6 of them that you learned last year. I'm going to fill them in on your chart, and I'm going to see if you can finish the rest of them. Okay, here the answers are. Pause the video now so you can copy them down, and see if you can fill in the rest of them based on some of the clues and how verbs are normally conjugated. We'll check them in class. The first kind of stem-changing verbs that we're going to look at are stem-changing E to IE. The first example I have for you is cerrar. Okay, the first E here, that's going to be one that stem changes. Just like any verb, you're going to want to take a look at the ending. We have an AR verb. Remember, drop the AR. Now when you're forming the stem, make sure that you change the E to an IE. And then you can add your correct endings. So here all of your conjugations are. The important thing to remember about E to IE stem changers in the present tense is that these are the forms that actually stem change. So here you can see the E to IE stem. Okay, the ones that don't change are going to be your nosotros and your vosotros. Okay, these are also referred to as boot verbs or shoe verbs because in the conjugation chart they look kind of like a boot. Okay, we just conjugated the verb cerrar. However, there are some other stem changers for E to IE that you also learned previously. So make sure you write those down in the list. And they're conjugated the same way. Change that E to an IE. Remember when you're conjugating these that some of them have 2 E's, so you just want to make sure that you conjugate the ones that you see underlined here, and these are going to be the one that is before the ending of the verb. So you'll see in the verb encender, this next E back, preferir, the next E back, and querer, the next E back. Okay, the next set are the stem changing E to I, and these are almost exactly the same as the stem changing E to IE, except instead of changing the E to IE, you just change it to an I. Follows the same format here, where you're going to see the stem change in all of the forms except the nosotros and the vosotros. See if you can try and conjugate the rest of this one, and pause it right now and then check your answers. I'm going to put them up. Okay, there they are. Check to make sure that you only stem changed the ones that are inside of the boot. Here you can see the E has changed to the I, and then for the rest of them we have left it how it is. Although other E to I stem changing verbs exist, we haven't learned any before other than these 2. So write these ones down. We have pedir and repetir. So here you will also choose the E that is right before the ending of the verb. Okay, just for some practice, see if you can conjugate repetir in the yo and the nosotros forms. I'm going to write the answers down, so see if you can do it before I do. You can just write them on some paper. If you feel like saying them out loud, that's also fine. So the yo form would be repito. Here the E changes to the I. And then nosotros. Okay, we have repetimos. Remember, in this one, it's not going to have the stem change. So this E is going to stay in E. Okay, also keep in mind that we're working with an IR verb here. So we want to make sure we have the IR verb ending. So you see imos. Okay, we're going to start out by going over the verb gustar. This one can be a little complicated. First of all, it means to like or to be pleasing to. It's used with the expressions below to clarify or to emphasize something. Okay, please copy the rest of the chart in. Here you can see to say I like, you would say a mí me gusta or a mí me gustan. Okay, remember the a mí here is used to clarify or to emphasize. In this case, it's used to emphasize since the me already tells me that I'm the one that likes something or that something is pleasing to me. Okay, down here we have te gusta or te gustan, le gusta or le gustan. Here you'll frequently need to use one of these expressions in order to clarify, because the le can refer to him, to her, to you formal, to somebody's name. Okay, we do need to clarify a lot by saying a and then whatever subject we're referring to. Up here we have a nosotros nos gusta or nos gustan, a vosotros os gusta or os gustan, and then les gusta and les gustan. Remember, once again, this is often one where you need to clarify. Remember, if the subject is repeated, you don't need, or you're still talking about the same person, continuing on, you're not going to need to use the clarifier all the time. Just using the le or the les will be fine. At the middle of the page, you'll see some rules of use. Part A, use gusta when whatever is after gusta is followed by an infinitive verb or it is a singular noun. Here's an example. We have me gusta. Okay, so if we're going to use an infinitive verb, we could use cantar. For example number 2, a ella le gusta. Here you could use a singular noun like el pollo. So a ella le gusta el pollo. So she likes chicken, or chicken is pleasing to her. And our last example here, part B, use gustan when followed by a plural noun. So, le gustan las clases. Because clases is plural, the verb also needs to be plural here. So we need to use gustan instead of gusta. Okay, let's do some practice out loud. If I wanted to say, he likes to dance, would I use me te le, nos os or les? Okay, if you thought it was le, you would be correct. And if I was going to say he likes to dance, would I use gusta or gustan? I'm going to start writing it while you think about it. Okay, it should be gusta because bailar is an infinitive verb. Okay, what if I wanted to say I like video games? Okay, if you said me gustan, you would be correct. Okay, the last one. If I wanted to say, I like the book. Okay, it should be me gusta because book is singular, so I need to use gusta instead of gustan. We're going to go over ser and estar. They both mean to be. They're used to describe different things. Make sure you pause it and then copy down the reasons why you use ser. You use it for date, like hoy es el 15 de agosto. Occupation, yo soy profesora. Characteristic, el elefante es gris. Time, son las dos. Origin, soy de Michigan. And relation, ella es mi hermana. One thing you're going to want to add to the end is for E, event location. And it's used to describe position of something, like el lápiz está sobre la mesa. Location, ella está en la clase. Action, nosotros estamos bailando. Condition, él está enfermo. Or emotion, ella está muy feliz. The last thing that we're going to take a look at is tener expressions. These are things that don't really translate particularly well. For example, if you're going to say your age, you would use tener blank años. Por ejemplo, yo tengo 30 años, so I am 30 years old. Really, tener means to have, so when you say I have 30 years, it doesn't sound correct in English. However, in Spanish it is. What you'll notice on your notes is a bunch of other ones as well. I'm actually just going to write them down on this page, and I want you to see if you can fill in the correct ones into the missing spaces based on what you learned last year. So once again, here are all the tener expressions that I would like you to finish filling in on your paper. Remember, they're not in order, so you're going to have to figure out which ones you learned last year, which ones you remember.